guys, welcome to Clockwork, Dandy Noodles for another breakdown of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. We are back with another episode, but there will of course be another break before the next episodes. It's every 2 weeks seemingly. I know the last two episodes are currently up in the air because they don't know where to put them in on the screening schedule. We've had animes before that have been horrifically delayed. We had 86, which was really delayed. During the pandemic, we also had a lot of delays going on as well. This episode was a very different pace change because I wasn't expecting it. This week's episode has changed things up once again, and it's one of those episodes where you're like, oh, this is that ugly side of the plot showing once again, and it's that serious side of the plot. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. I hope you guys are looking after yourselves. Very excited to break this one down with you guys. 2 weeks time we've got the full overview video. I have officially gone through it. I've got my list. I just need to find time to record and edit, and working on the end of season review. I've got the awards, but I haven't figured out my top 3 yet. It's a bit too early to also put them in an order. I am going to be away for about 5 days, 3 weeks time. There will be some bumping to scheduling, but with the way Zom 100's going, it's probably just going to be 2 videos that get bumped. When it comes to Clockwork Rewind, I can probably do that on and off, schedule that to go up so you won't notice the difference. I did think this was going to be a very special episode. Somebody told me that the girls from Zombieland Saga were going to be in it. I didn't see them at all. I was looking for them, haven't seen them. Someone had them on the bridge, but I didn't see the girls there, whether it was just the fake news. So if you did see the girls, let me know down below if it is the case that it was actually a legit source that I saw it on. But as you guys know, we have broken down Zombieland Saga on the channel before. We are big fans of that show. Hopefully at some point the movie's coming out, so we can maybe look at that. We're about to change locations. This is where we roughly left off. The boys are back in style though. I do love them in the shop taking pictures, looking at the watches. It blew my mind, but it's also, I know it's realistic. Watches can cost this much. It's gross. I think somehow got money. I don't even think I would buy expensive stuff like this because it feels like a waste, and it also feels like a surefire way of not being a millionaire anymore. Zombie apocalypse, I would definitely be doing it, probably. It does feel like we've had a bit of a time skip, maybe a week, maybe 2, because now the water is gone and it's finally time for the power to go out. I've said a few times I figured the power would eventually go out. I knew it was going to happen. It's scary considering that Tokyo is dark. It's also perhaps the first time, maybe in a very long time, that you've been able to see the Milky Way from any capital city whatsoever, but see the Milky Way with all that light pollution. It just doesn't happen. So it's a really weird concept to get your head around. I think it would hit a new level of scary once the power started to go out, once the resources started to go down, because say goodbye to those refrigerators, say goodbye to electricity. The guys have got to get serious, and they do kind of get serious. We're going to get into an RV, we're going to go leave the city, go somewhere else. The RV is car of the apocalypse. It makes sense. It's safe, it's convenient. A lot of people use these things to go camping and go out into the world for quite a bit of time. It's nice to also bump into Shizuka again. She does not waste any time in shooting him down and being like, nah, I don't actually want to be with you guys. Tradition of Zom 100 is not a great episode unless our boy Kentro strips and gets nude. He's nude again, and of course it means it's a beautiful episode. I would be interested to see if every single episode now he does actually strip. Ongoing gag. Welcome to the world of RVs. Yet again, my mind is blown, but with this I can really understand why it's expensive. It's similar to boats and yachts. I believe people only really own those things if they're rich. Compared to a watch, I can understand why vehicles and planes and stuff cost money. But it is fun to see Shizuka actually starting to slip the we in when she's like, oh, we can do this, we can do that. It's like, oh, you finally come round to the idea that yes, I'm actually going to be being a trio with you guys. Fine, I've given in, I'm actually going to work with you guys. Oh my goodness, you do kind of feel bad for her because the guys are just whinging like toddlers, throwing a tantrum over wanting the luxury RV. Such a funny moment. I did feel really bad, but I also had my mind blown that there was RV with a tatami mat in it. Of course there probably is. Mind blown that that is a thing and people have tatami mats, and obviously I guess they unpack and have futons and stuff. Look at the world of RVs and how they change depending on what country you're in. Everybody has a weakness this week. Shizuka lets it slip in front of her toddlers that actually I do have a weakness. This is the one I'd like to have, but in the end nobody wins. We end up just going for the nearest one, which is quite sad as well, because we also don't get to stay in the RV for very long. And I wasn't really expecting things to change pace. I was just expecting them to get out into the country. I wasn't expecting a roadblock literally. Twist our change of pace. We also do hit 6 episodes now. We finally get a bit of discussion on what this could actually be, whether it's a virus, how it's spread. Are there people out there who are working on a cure? Now, what came to mind initially was the labs. A lot of them are in very high places, whether they're up in mountains, whether they're up away from most civilians. So it does make sense that there would be labs maybe surviving, guys who are up doing research in Antarctica. Is it possible they're still around because it's too cold for most viruses to survive in Antarctica because most of them lay dormant under the ice caps? There's got to be people like that in research stations who are still alive, perhaps doing the research. The twist I wasn't expecting, that somebody had actually survived from the hellhole that was the office. Even worse, it's actually the man at the top who made the hellhole to begin with. Bad things only really happen to good people. We have the man at the top now running his own lucrative empire of slavery. It's even worse that there's no legal tape anymore. He doesn't have to comply to legal because the law is gone. He is now the top of his empire and being even more tyrannical than before. And it's so sad because it feels like now the episode takes a dive back into depression, trauma, PTSD. The colours are vanishing again. You'll notice that for the first time in 5 episodes, the colours go back to being saturated. And we have not had that in a very long time. Everything goes back to being high contrast. And obviously the sun feels really hot. And you get to see anxiety, PTSD, an actual breakdown in Akira. Because he says, my chest feels tight. That is a big symptom of having a panic attack, having an anxiety attack. He has trauma, no doubt got PTSD from working in hell. Flashbacks come back, he's in colour, but the background's in black and white. We're going back to those very special techniques they were using in episode 1. And it's still a very good episode. I know this show's perhaps slipping a little bit in its popularity because of the gaps in between episodes, but every episode, if it had been airing back to back, I still think the show would have perhaps been one of the best ones of the season. Whether I think it's still keeping its crown or not, that's what you're going to have to find out in the end of season review. Make sure you're subscribed for it though. Every episode it's pulling out is very well crafted, and this week's episode is to put back the fear you have from working at somewhere so traumatic that your body doesn't forget. He's unable to speak back. He finds it hard to even breathe, which is all telltale signs of having a panic attack, having an anxiety attack. The guy wastes no time on just bribing them. If you work for us, we can allow you to repair the damage that we caused. They're the ones who put the trap up. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not trying to stop looters. They're trying to catch people into slavery. They're trying to indebt people to owe them a debt. There's no way that they're going to be able to walk out in 2 days' time. You know it's a trap. Those guys aren't going anywhere. It does feel like we've gone back to square one. I did have a bit of a hope, a little bit of a moment of hope when he tried to surprise us with the attempt to return to Happy Days and prepare something for all the people around him, because he still wants to care for people. He still doesn't want to be as bad as this guy. He doesn't want to abandon these guys who are working in the hot sun. So we see him trying to do something good, and he still has that attempt at being a happy demeanor, which by the end of it, it kind of vanishes. But it's just so sad to see it all being stamped out. All that recovery that he did, all of it is just going to go back to waste because he's going back to PTSD. He's going back to hell forced upon him. He's working again. He's a slave for the same guy again. But you can see the boss also being as low life as he is, taking credit for a good idea, which wasn't even his. He had no intention of sharing anything with anybody. It was all just for him. But he intends to keep everybody a prisoner. Really sad to see that we've gone back to this, because I was really expecting us to just go out into the countryside. We haven't met the 4th character yet, so at some point she's got to appear. I also thought there was a shocking lack of muzzles on a zombie workforce. That's just asking for trouble. Obviously this guy is just a low life, he doesn't care, but he's just increasing the risk of him also getting bitten by somebody. One of his subordinates, someone close to him, is going to get bitten. And we've seen how people just hide things in this show. He's going to get bitten. And I really hope he does, because he's a horrible character who feels no remorse for anybody. He sees everybody as just tools. Right at the end, we get that very scary comparison once again of the mindless worker compared to nothing more than a mindless zombie. It's scary, but the show does these comparisons really, really well. So it was a welcome but unwelcome surprise to see us returning back to darker tones. The last episode, we could have gone down the whole rom-com trap, which I think a few of you said could have happened, but it didn't. I didn't really think it was going to go into rom-com territory. Shizuka, at the moment, not really showing any interest, and I don't think she's going to show any interest, at least in this season, so I don't see it being a rom-com of any sort. Interesting episode where we go and look at mental health once again, and again I think it's doing a very good job. I think it is showing you how real it can be. after even getting free from a bad workplace, that toxicity stays with you. You never forget. I thought it was a very good episode. I'm very sad that we're again having another delay, but you can't really do much. I think it is making way for special airing. It's not the Olympics, but it's something sports related. So that's what's going on right now. That's why this is getting bumped about a bit, which is really sad, because I know that means that the last 2 episodes, they need to find time for the disrupted episodes. We've seen with Golden Kamui, that's another big one, which we've had breaks on the channel. It took ages to find gaps to put them back into airing. And by the time it aired, nobody really remembered that Golden Kamui was airing. It loses its impact. And I know with Attack on Titan, with the gaps between the initial release, people just lost interest because it was like 3 years of waiting. People just went, nah, the impact is gone. Like, I've lost my interest. I am worried that this show is going to suffer at the hands of the delays, but it's nothing to do with the guys who did the work on the show. No fault of theirs. It's just bad timing. I really hope that we can stick with it as a noodle bowl, and I trust you guys will keep watching it and looking out for the breakdowns as we go through them. Thank you so much. I can't wait to bring more videos to you guys, and I am starting to do a bit of work on roughly what's going to happen when we hit 1k. I think it's still a way away. I don't think we're going to hit 1k this year, but I am starting to think about something, and I think you guys might like it, but it's just going to take a little bit of effort on my part to do some work and work with the right people to make something happen. Watch this space, guys. I will see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.